I'm Nick Ullo. I'm director of Boothbay Region Land Trust. We're going to be heading out to a special island today called Damariscove Island. It's one of my favorite islands because my wife and I spent 7 summers as caretakers out there. So come on, let's go. I arranged to go to Damariscove Island with my friend, Captain Mark Stover of Red Hook Charters. Mark and his family go way back in this area and have a history out on the island too. The weather is cooperating for our visit to Damariscove, the largest of Boothbay Region Land Trust island preserves. And the boat trip to get there passes some of the region's most beautiful lighthouses. There are lots of opportunities to spot wildlife. Located 6 miles offshore, Damariscove Island was first used by the Abenaki tribe as a base for fishing and collecting birds' eggs. The island has 2 main parts, connected by a narrow strip of land. The northern portion of the island is off limits for human use and serves as a breeding area for birds like these cormorants, as well as Maine's largest population of eider ducks. The approach to the harbor at Damariscove is one of the prettiest in Maine. This former life-saving station was built in 1896. Whenever I come into this harbor, I feel like I'm coming home. Here we are on Damariscove Island and sitting on the porch of the caretaker's cottage. So we have caretakers out here every year from June until September. So out in front of us is this stone pier. It was rebuilt by Boothbay Region Land Trust to be used by lobstermen, and as you can see, it is being used by the lobstermen. They rotate their gear to help dry it out, and they also store gear there over the winter months. The only private part of this whole island is 210-acre island. The only private part of the island is the Coast Guard station, the life-saving station. That's privately owned, it's a private summer home, but the people who own that home are very accommodating to the land trust. But the only way to get to the island is by boat, and it's a private boat or private boat charter. There are no tour boats that come out here to the island. So it's a pretty peaceful place to visit most days. Out in the harbor we have 2 moorings, public moorings. Those moorings are first come, first serve, and they're free to use by the public as well. It was interesting when we showed up this morning that there were already three boats here in the harbor staying overnight. And that's not uncommon in the summer, even during midweek. So we get a lot of visitors out here. In the 1600s, English fishermen were regularly using the island, and in 1622, when the Pilgrims in the Plymouth colony were near starvation, supplies from Damariscove Island prevented complete disaster. So, this island has been used for fishing historically. The way it sticks out into the water, it's very convenient for accessing the fishing grounds, and so all of these rocks and these inlets in the harbor would have been lined with fish flakes where they would dry fish that they caught, and there's still evidence on some of the rocks in different places of the tar that they would use to tar the nets. And so the rocks here on Damariscove still have the remnants of tar on them from where they would lay the nets out and tar the nets. Here it is. Yep. EM Ward. You know, this island's been used for so many years. E.M. Ward, 1872. It'd be interesting to find out who that was, but that etching has been in that stone for a long time. So Damariscove Island is a unique habitat because, of course, it's separated from the mainland by water. And so you get some interesting evolution here. And what we've had on Damariscove for years is a population of muskrat. Typically, muskrat live in the banks of waterways, and they're really like beavers in many ways, where they live in the water and they rarely come up out of the water. But here on Damariscove, due to the lack of predators throughout the island, we have hundreds and hundreds of muskrats. In many places, they'll build their homes up on dry land, and they spend a lot of their time on the dry land. So you see muskrat runs like this throughout the island. The last permanent residents left Damariscove Island in the mid-20th century. The island was privately owned until the Nature Conservancy acquired it in 1966. In 2005, the property was transferred to Boothbay Region Land Trust. So you can see the whole wall is ripped up, replacing the shakes on the south side of the museum here. Doing some work. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, lots of work happening in here right now.
My grandfather was the chief of the station out here after Mr. Gamage, and I'm sure that they were stationed out here together. John Began, a local fisherman, was stationed out here. There's a few guys in Boothbay that were stationed here.
Like many places along the coast of Maine, there's lots of granite here. The granite was harvested off of Damariscove Island for many, many years. Harvested by hand, hauled by hand, and in many places you'll see there's just stone that's been left, cut stone that's just been left in place. It's like they stopped working one day and just walked out. In fact, they've even left wedges in the rocks still in places. And so you can see rocks that are partially cut. Fully cut stones halfway dragged across the island and just left. Damariscove Island was home to a year-round settlement for many years. And in the early 1900s, there was a lot of farming activity that happened out here. And so here we're sitting at the remnants of the farmhouse foundation. And next to us, a little bit further down, you'll see there's remnants of the old barn foundation. There's some really interesting stories about the cow on Damariscove that was struck by lightning and killed by lightning. And so there was grazing cattle out here, and there's still old stone walls mixed in throughout the island. And then another thing that happened out here too quite a bit in the early 1900s was tourism. And so trying to bring people out here by building small cottages here on Damariscove Island. And there were a series of small cottages that they would rent. And one of them was the Brownie Cottage. It was a larger cottage, and the remnants of this cottage, which was taken down. It was a safety hazard, so it was taken down in the late 1990s. You know, this place means everything to me. For anybody who spends time out here, this island becomes a part of them. It really does. It's incredible. Even for people who just visit annually, too. I can't tell you how many visitors I've talked to, and they say this is the place they want to be, all summer and every summer.